we were taken to the bars by a paralyzed Uber driver. We had never been out in Cincinnati together, so I had Tex, Luke, and my buddy Lip. Those are going to be their names for the story. Come down to Cincinnati. I live probably like 35, 40 minutes south of Cincinnati. We're having a hell of a time finding an Uber, and we had been pre-gaming for a couple hours. Uber wouldn't load. There was no XLs available again because I live like 40 minutes away from the city of Cincinnati. But long story short, we finally get an Uber. It's a normal size Uber, and we have 4 people. They only take 3 usually. So my buddy Luke's like, hey, when it gets here, just ask them if they'll take another one. I'm like, all right. So the Uber shows up. I go out, roll down the window, and again, feeling pretty good, I say, can you take 3? And he's like, yeah. And I'm not paying attention. I run back up. I say to Luke, yeah, he can take 3. And Luke's like, there's 4 of us. I'm like, oh, yeah. So I run back to the car, and I go, hey, can you take, and as I go to say take 4, I look in his passenger seat. There's this disassembled wheelchair. I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'll ask him. Dude, do you care if we put your wheelchair in the trunk and you take us up to Cincinnati, 4 people? He's like, yeah, it's fine. I do it all the time. Just move to the back. We're like, all right, sweet. So we move it to the back. We all get in the car, and we're on our way. Well, me and my buddies are just talking because there's 4 of us in the car. We hadn't seen each other in a few months, so we're just catching up, drunk in the Uber, driving up to the bars. At one point, I think either dating or marriage came up, and our Uber driver's just like, I haven't been on a date in 5 years because nobody wants to date a gimp. And just so, like, and we're trying to, like, be positive with him. Like, hey, man, like, that's all right. Like, you'll be okay, dude. Like, there's a lot of people that, go through dry spells with women and, you'll find a girl. And he's like, yeah, but I'm 50 and I just want to be married. I don't want to date anybody. And we're like, hey, man, there's always going to be girls that want to settle down at some point. Like, it has nothing to do with you being paralyzed, but you might have something to do with it. But you can't say that to the guy, right? Like, you're just trying to help, lift him up a little bit. I'm like, dude, I'm pulling my phone out because, like, I'm like, this could be a Talks with Tom or something else. So I start taking notes while we're driving because he just was saying off-color shit every, like, couple minutes and like jutting into our conversation, which is cool because, like, we don't mind talk. I'd rather talk to the Uber driver than not. But he was just telling us crazy shit. After about another 5 minutes, he's like, yeah, I've been married twice. And we're like, damn, dude. He's like, hate both my ex-wives. First ex-wife had sex with my brother. And we're like, what? Like, everybody, you feel it in the car where it's like, what? Well, from my perspective, I'm writing a story as he's telling me this stuff. So I go, that's awesome. And I literally, very rarely am I speechless, but I'm like, fuck, I didn't mean to say that's awesome. So I'm like, just stop talking. I just stopped talking. Total, like, foot in the mouth moment. I'm just, like, sitting there typing on my phone. And Luke's in the back. He goes, is it awesome, Tom? Is it? And that, like, breaks the awkward silence. And I go, well, it's not awesome, but, like, it's awesome if you were writing, like, a story about it. Like, it's horrible that happened to you, but it's really good content. And he's like, yeah, man, I've been thinking about writing a book for a long time. He's like, you know how I got paralyzed? And we're like, no, how'd you get paralyzed? He's like, after I served in the war, I got some type of testicular cancer, and now I couldn't walk after the surgery. And we're like, what? That's crazy. So he's paralyzed, and he's paralyzed from testicular cancer. So this man's first ex-wife, not only was he divorced once, divorced twice, his first ex-wife cheated on him with his brother, and then he got testicular cancer after serving in the military. I'm like, dude, your story is so sad, but at the same time, this is great fucking content. So we're still driving, and then the question comes up, and I think everybody was thinking it because we talked about it afterwards, but at the time, we're like halfway up, and he almost like hit like 3 cars. Like, we were almost at like 3 accidents. He was drifting in and out of lanes, and he was screaming at everybody else who was like a bad driver. We're like, dude, you're all over the road, but you're Ubering us, so we're not going to complain. And he goes, man, these drivers up here suck. And we're all like, dude, you almost have killed us 3 times. You almost killed us on the Brent Spence Bridge when we were heading across the river into Cincy to get dropped off at the banks. But we're like, how is he driving if your legs don't work? I mean, they have like a control thing on the steering wheel. Like, how does that work? Because we were all kind of thinking it because, for those of you from the Midwest, you come down the cut in the hill into Cincinnati. Like, it's really steep, so there's a lot of braking. And he was braking really, like, close to other cars. And we were like, maybe that's his driving style, or maybe he's like not able to move his feet and react as quickly. Like, I don't know. When we pull up to the spot, he had told me and Lip ahead of time, like, hey, when we get to the spot that I'm dropping you off, I'll pop my trunk. Please just put my wheelchair back. Absolutely. No fucking problem, dude. Like, you've really helped us out, and you told us those crazy stories. After hearing your story, dude, I'll damn near do anything you need me to do to help you out. So I tip him or whatever. Trunk pops. We get out. Tex got in the Uber late, so he didn't see us take the wheelchair to the trunk. So as we bring the wheelchair out, me, Lip, and Luke are pulling the different parts of the wheelchair out. It's like I had like a tire, Luke had like the metal seat, and Lip had another piece. Well, as we bring it around, Tex is like, "Are you seriously stealing from this guy after everything he just told us?" And we just start dying as we're putting the wheelchair back. We're like, "No, dude, he had his wheelchair in the passenger seat." And he had his wheelchair in the passenger seat. We're putting it back for him. So we put it back, and as we come out, you see Luke. I'm not saying Luke's a germaphobe, but he's very particular about like certain things. And he touched the chair, and I don't know if it was the adhesive that would put it back in place, or the seat was something was spilled on it. But he comes back, and his hands have like this tar sticky stuff, and he's like, "Why are my hands sticky? What did I touch?" And I'm not going to lie, it was a really foul odor to it. Like at first I thought it was just like a glue or adhesive to put the wheelchair back together, but it had a foul odor, really rank. We don't necessarily know what it was. So we go into this restaurant. Looks like I washed my hands off. So the rest of the night, I mean, nothing special, just another night out with the boys in Cincinnati. You know, we went to the Banks for a little bit, and then we went up to OTR. Had a good time. If you're not from the Midwest, Cincinnati's a great place to go out if you're in town visiting, especially during sports season. But with that being said, that's one of those stories that, and this is just my philosophy, I'm not saying you have to be this way, but it just kind of makes you appreciate who, you know, the life that you have, because I think that's something that like everybody forgets. I've always told myself I'll always treat people with the respect and dignity that they deserve, because regardless of who you are in the world, whether you're president of the United States or a homeless man on the street, you deserve to be treated the same. You know, nobody knows what other people are going through. And when you think you're having a really tough day and life's so miserable for you, there's somebody going through something 20 times worse every single day. So that's why it's like, I don't think it's our place to judge. I don't think it's our place to, you know, put labels on people. That's just, to me, that's just not how we should treat each other. And I hope that it gets better. I think now we live in such a selfish society where everybody's about me, 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 me. Look at me. Look how great I am. And it's like, that's fine to be like that to a certain degree, because I think self-care is important. But I don't think you have to live in this bubble of everything's about you, you know, that type of thing. So with that being said, what a story. Always talk to your Uber drivers, man. I mean, I'm telling you, I think Uber driver stories could be a whole podcast on its own. That is some crazy stuff. And Uber driver stories, man. That might have to be a segment here moving forward on Talks of Tom every time we go out, because that one definitely topped every Uber experience I've had, and I've had some good ones. So peace out. Glad we're back. Talks of Tom.
I was riding around town thinking to myself, is it gonna get easier? I'll be up in a way of the street getting paid, but I can't even breathe no more. What's it to me? What can I see? Taking shots by the lake till I can't